Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I'm here with Angel Quintas. So far, he's put out three singles, and I gotta be honest, they're all pretty amazing. Angel, thank you so much for coming on today. How are you doing?
First off, the fact that you said they're all amazing, just my ego went straight through the roof. So thank you for that.
Well, I wouldn't lie. I wouldn't say that they were crap, but I would not give the high praise of amazing.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But I do
I'm doing
truly
pretty
mean
good.
it, and I am really excited to talk to you all about it. Um,
Nice.
you've put out three singles so far. They're all very unique, but they all have that sort of signature sound that you're coming out with. I want to talk about your most recent single first. Not that it's my favorite, but it's the one that I've been coming back to the most so far. I
Oh,
want to know about all the different genre influences that you've got going on here. I would hoping that you could break it down a little bit for me.
sure.
Please take it away.
Um, so for the first single for the last one that I did, I kind of wanted to do something a little more, not modern, but a bit more recent to what's been played before. Something that people are a little more used to. I'm a huge fan of the Arctic Monkeys, so you can tell there's some of that
Yes,
influence in there. And I just wanted to have like a fun kind of song that people can like vibe to in their car, or just that type of thing.
totally. I got that Arctic Monkeys feeling almost instantly. Not that you're like obviously directly ripping off or anything like that, but like the essence of their most
Right.
recent album, which is like that loungy, clubby, jazzy feel. It's like
Exactly.
very warm sounding.
I yeah,
Oh,
I
I
I don't
love
want
that.
people to think I'm trying to like rip them off because
No, no,
I'm
no, no,
not.
no.
But clearly, I kind of want to, take that energy, and I'm a big fan of like different sounds, and so I like
Yeah,
to use that into my stuff.
definitely. I'm actually really happy that you brought that up because I'd love to talk about the production side of things. I know that you do your own production and it's something that you've
Correct.
kind of been working on. First off, gotta say, super jealous because if there's one thing I'd like to learn, it's how to actually make a song instead of like think I could make a song.
Well, fun
Um,
fact: all of the songs have been produced in GarageBand.
that's
So
okay. I've tried to use GarageBand on occasion, and it's still like learning a new language
it
to
it,
me.
it really, like, literally, I've been using it for like a year now, and I'm like, wait, you can do this on there?
Yeah, for real. It
Yeah,
is pretty
it's
crazy.
yeah.
But yeah, the way that your music sounds is very like a very intimate feeling. It feels like you're speaking directly to someone and not an audience. And I don't know if that's a production trick or whatever it is, but I kind of just want to hear the process behind how you put a song together.
So lately, it's been uh I'll do like the music of it first, and then I'll kind of like throw some lyrics together, and if I like it, I'll like kind of stick it on there.
Mhm.
I used to be more like lyrics first and then the music, but when I started to kind of like buckle down and start to say, okay, I want to like make music, I focused more on like the sound of it, and then kind of the lyrics were more on like the wayside. I mean,
Okay.
I do still put some effort into the lyrics. I'm not just
Yep.
singing, do re mi and scales or
Of
whatever.
course.
But for me, it's more like I said earlier, just the overall sound of each song.
Totally. And instrumentally, you've got a lot going on as well. Are you a one man band or do you have outside help?
I do have a little bit of outside help. So for some of the songs that have not been released yet, my best friend Alan, he's helped me out with like guitar solos and stuff because he's really
Okay.
great at doing that,
Mhm.
and he's giving me a few little production tips here and there. But like 95% of it has been me.
No, that's amazing. Not that like
I
you
don't want to like
need
toot my own horn,
people.
like, oh yeah, it's me.
No,
like
dude,
like
toot it
it's
all
it's
you want. Like
it's been pretty much me, and I'm always afraid like, well, people are going to tell it this sounds like crap, because but I mean, so far people have been enjoying it, and the fact that you think my music's amazing is just
Right. You have
the
to
icing on the cake.
realize that like 99% of music listeners are about the overall feel of things,
Right.
and that only a musician or like a reviewer would really like listen in and be like, "Oh yes, he missed that symbol,"
See,
or like he
I'm a
there
musician, so that's why
sure.
I'm very harsh on my own like
Yeah.
stuff. I'm like, oh, this sounds like crap.
Well,
Okay.
that's a good thing and a bad thing. I think there's like a happy medium there. You don't
Right.
want to be the overly crazy perfectionist to where you're like pulling your hair out and freaking out
Right.
about it.
I'm not gonna pull a Brian Wilson doing Pet Sounds,
Yeah, that's
but then Brian
yeah,
Wilson made Pet Sounds, so
right. But he was he was that was the time when they had already sort of hit it big in a
right.
sense. So he like, had the studio hours. I'm just saying like
He had the leeway to kind of lose his mind a little.
exactly, and drugs, and so
Well, there
like
it was the
that's
time.
it was the time
It was the time.
100%. No, seriously though, I think putting it together yourself and being 95% of the band is incredibly impressive, besides the fact that like, yeah, sure, you can't hit a guitar solo, bring a friend in. It's also nice to have another perspective because
Yes.
you're playing the song for them and hopefully getting feedback. I would hope.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Obviously, me doing all like the production stuff myself, I get tired of like hearing it over and over. So I'll send it to him, my friend Alan, because he
Sure.
also is like a musician and he's like, oh no, a general artist. So
Yeah.
if he thinks it's good, then I'm like, okay, I'm getting
Right.
somewhere.
Will he be honest with you though?
Yeah, he
Okay.
will. He
Good,
definitely.
Alan. Don't
I've
screw
known him long
around.
enough for him to
That's good.
tell me, that's a bit, off.
Yeah, no, I have friends like that in my life too who are like, I mean, they're not doing it seriously, but they're making music and they're, they'll
Yeah.
send me a demo and they're like, be honest. And I'll be honest.
And
You
he's
know what
been
I
kind
mean?
enough to let me borrow his guitar because I don't have an electric guitar. So he let me
Okay.
borrow his. And so,
There you go.
he's a big help.
Awesome.
He's
So
definitely gonna get that credit and when I make the
good.
physical copies, he's gonna be in big bold letters.
Absolutely. Just dedicate a couple pages to him. There
There
you
you go.
go. So you've put out these three singles so far. Like I said, I love them all, but I know that you have your debut album coming in June. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
What can you say? What can you tease? And
Hmm.
just general
So
album things.
general album things. So there's gonna be 10 songs
Okay.
overall. One of them is a cover,
Oh, nice.
uh, because 9 songs is quite a lot to write
Yeah. Oh,
for a
yeah.
first timer.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a little all over the place, but still cohesive.
Okay.
So it's gonna be bits of like, oh, that's interesting, but it's all gonna kind of gel together into one very cool, entertaining thing. I would hope. Um, there's a lot of first time stuff for me. I've obviously never released an album before, so
Right.
this is all very new to me. This whole experience, and
Okay.
I just hope people like it. Really.
Totally. Well, so okay, compared to what you put out so far, is there going to be any experimentation from the sound that you've already created? I know that you just said like it is cohesive throughout, but that you've taken some liberties.
There's definitely some experimentation.
Okay.
You know, like I mentioned earlier, Brian Wilson and Pet Sounds. I took a few notes from those pages and kind of added some special accoutrements, if you will,
Of course.
to a few songs, and a lot of them still have a lot of that like vintage 60s 70s sound that I'm like
Mhm.
really comfortable in. Yeah.
Nice, man. That's, you know what? I wasn't looking for the full answer, and that's totally okay. I think that there should be some secrets, especially as you continue to tease it when it comes out. One thing I do want to know though is that so I sort of in the grand scheme of the music that you've already put out and worked on, how do you work on songs? Do you work on them in batches? Do you kind of jump around or do you focus on one song at a time, wait till it's finished and then
I work on like maybe 2 or 3 at a time, depending on, well, because I also have a day job, I gotta pay the
Oh,
rent somehow.
I get it.
Luckily, I've had the support from my coworkers for my music, so shout out to
Mhm.
them. Um, I kind of, I'll be inspired, and sometimes I'll be inspired, and I'll sit for like, hours on end trying to like, I'll demo something, and I'll, move it over, and I'll try to fix it to sound good, because I try to get as much of it done as I can at once.
Sure.
Um, but obviously, the more I listen to it, the more I'm like, oh, this would sound different here, or I should
Right.
add on to it. And so I typically work on it in batches.
Okay. And so when you're making music, do you ever feel like stressed? Is making
Yes,
music is making music a sense of release for you, or does it get to the point where you
definitely.
need to walk away for a second
Sometimes
and
it's both, honestly. In the early stages, like when I'm writing it, it's great because like, oh, I'm getting all these ideas out.
yeah,
When I'm writing lyrics and like, I've got something on my mind, I'll write it out. It's like, oh, great. This is like great. But when it comes to like the nitty gritty of like recording, and I'm on like the 47th take of like one verse, I'm like pulling my hair out.
like I do this for fun. I do this for fun. Like this is
I want this to be a job. I want this to pay the bills.
seriously. Well, hey, listen, when you're able to dedicate, an 8-hour workday to it, then you can spend all the time nitpicking and going
I know.
crazy and
But it goes back to
taking
that whole like I'm an artist, and I'm very,
sure.
I mean, I try not to get too overboard on it,
Right.
but I'm very slightly perfectionist. So I'm just
Right. I'm saying you got
nearly
to play
there,
the
not
happy
quite.
medium. You
Yeah,
can't care too much and you can't be a slacker about it because there's plenty of
exactly.
bad music out there. That's for sure. So, got to be careful. So I have heard from you a lot of your favorite artists and sort of inspire or who inspired you. But one thing I'd like to know is that now that you've, really dedicated yourself to this and taken this path as a musician, was there a single album that you listened to either growing up or recently that sort of pushed you over the edge? Something that made you want to emulate that sound or create something for yourself?
So I was kind of like playing around with the idea of like, I've always wanted to be someone like Paul McCartney, for example. Like, who doesn't want to
Mhm.
be Paul McCartney? Like, writes amazing songs, you know, plays it for like millions of fans. That's always been like the end goal, but it was
Mhm.
always just kind of like, oh, that would be nice.
Right.
Um, and then I kind of, would do little guitar demos and like send it to my friend Alan, like, hey, I kind of came up with this. And it's sort of kind of gradually formed into like what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But when Harry Styles released Fine Line, I was like, wow, I need to do something like this. This is just the start. I feel like Stevie Nicks said that this is like his rumors, and that's very much, I would agree with that. It's very like one of those classic albums you can look back
Yeah.
on in like 50 years, like, wow, Fine Line was like insane.
I
And
love that you
then,
picked a super recent album too.
oh,
I
I
figured
love
it.
Harry Styles,
No, no, no,
man.
no,
He's
no.
like,
Same, same, same. I mean, like, I would have assumed. I mean, I don't really know you that well, but I would have assumed that you would have picked something that maybe you grew up listening to, or like your parents played in the car. Or so,
it's
but no,
funny
the fact that it
because,
came out recent, I love
yeah,
that.
it's funny because like no one in my family really like was into music.
Okay.
I don't know how like I it was bestowed onto me. Um, but now I'm kind
Yeah.
of teaching it. I'm giving it to like my niece. I bought her like a little toy piano, and I'm
Sure.
kind of trying to show her, getting her into music.
I I
That stuff.
I think I have a reason for that because it's not the first time I've heard that like someone like an artist or musician has been super into music. I think it's all about the availability. You know what I mean? Having a
Yeah,
Spotify account or an Apple Music account or getting a free trial or something like that, you can dig in and test anything you want. But it's a lot different than going to a record store and having to commit to a record that one, you have to
right.
pay for, and two, you don't know if it's going to be good.
Exactly.
So for some people, it's a lot easier to just like, oh, I'm a movie person and I'll listen to the radio and whatever comes on.
I mean, I did obviously grow up listening to music because
Of
I'm,
course
I'm
not.
Cuban, so I
Yeah.
got a lot of those like great artists like Celia Cruz and all that stuff
Hmm.
playing in my like, uh, all those incredible artists when I was growing up. So I kind of had
Yeah.
that as like the starting point. And when I got older and I discovered people like Elvis, like I was watching a movie and then like I heard an Elvis song. I was like, whoa, what's that? And
Yeah,
I,
that's
that was around the time like, I was kind of like on YouTube. I
sure.
figured out YouTube. Um, and I just would watch his videos all the time. And I would like, he blew my mind.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and then, through Elvis, I found out about the Beatles. And then, it kind of, all trickled down into my current taste in music, I guess.
I love that self exploration and sort of teaching yourself. Cause like, yeah, you know what? Like the internet is so vast and you have a million options to find new whatever, and
Definitely.
it never ends. It really never ends. Um,
Yeah.
Another thing I'd like to know about you, though, is that now that you have taken this path as a musician and you've gone full steam ahead, what is it that you enjoy the most about being an artist and a creative as a whole?
I feel just like, you know, putting myself into my work really, like any artist, you know, putting themselves into their work and, kind of getting to know a bit about the artist through their work. I feel like
Hmm.
that's it for me. That's kind of what I like to do. I feel
Right.
like people who listen to my music, they kind of like get to know either like, what kind of music I like and, you know, um, whatever I have on my mind during that particular song, and just kind of they sort of build a bit of a rapport with me.
Right. All right. So then, kind of the follow up to that is that what do you feel that your music says about you as a person?
That's an interesting question, Austin. I don't know. I feel like that's yet to be determined because I've only got 3 songs out.
I know, but personally, like there had to have been stuff going through your head as you released and even as you wrote it that you were like, behind all this, there's an image of myself that I'd like to put out in
I
some
don't know.
capacity.
That I'm just, a person who has feelings, who likes to, you know, portray them through music, I guess. If that answers your question.
It does. You know what? I always say there's no rules here and there's no right answers. You can say whatever you want and it doesn't really matter because the music speaks for itself. I think that's kind of like the overarching message.
Like when I did Daisies, I kind of wanted to do a fun little like beatly number because
Mhm.
that's like my main
Sure.
bedrock. I feel like that's everyone's main bedrock when it
Yeah.
comes to like music in general.
Right.
Um, so I kind of wanted that and I also wanted to do that to kind of test the waters because that sound is what I know the most and what I'm most comfortable with. So I kind of wanted to see how that worked. And I
Mhm.
was like, okay, once I saw that that was doing good, I was like, how about I play around with some other type of genres? And so I did Ships, which not to toot my own horn, but the strings at the end is kind of
Toot
like
it, man.
that's quite nice. Um, I wanted to do more of like a ballad type of thing,
Mhm.
and I just wanted to show people that I'm not like a one trick pony. That I don't just do like
Totally.
Beatles type songs, like '60s type songs. That I do a little bit of everything, and I
I
do a
get
little bit
that.
of everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I've definitely thought this and said this before, but the way that the music industry is going, as far as genres, is putting labels on things is becoming impossible because
Right.
everyone is trying new things. Everyone is not trying to pigeonhole themselves into only being a rock or country or rap artist.
Exactly.
There's so much influence across genres, and I think because it's the availability of music as a whole,
Right.
but at the same time, you as an artist and the music that you put out and hitting all those different things, you get to attract a whole new demographic of people that might like one song and then will listen as you make those types of songs.
Exactly.
So
Hit that nail right on the head. Couldn't have said it better myself, Austin. Honestly, took the
thank
words out of my
you.
mouth.
Thank you. Thank you. So, all right, let's fast forward like 3 to 6 months. The album is out. It's seen massive success,
Hold on. I have to
and
figure out what's 3 to 6 months from now.
I don't know.
A
I don't
bit
even
late.
know what month we're in at this point. Time doesn't matter. But, okay, let's say it's
Okay, so
January
like, okay,
2022. Yeah, let's say
okay,
it's
gotcha.
January. Okay.
2022. All right.
Basically the my whole lead up to this. Is touring something that you'd like to do? Would you
Oh,
like to perform
definitely.
these songs? Okay.
Definitely. Yeah,
Okay.
without a
I
doubt.
never know because sometimes these are just personal things that people make and don't want to get out there, but some people are scared of the stage.
Well, I mean, I do. I'm not gonna lie. I do have a bit of stage fright. I have
Sure.
never really done like a gig before, but
Okay.
that gives me all the more reason why I want to do it, because I want to kind of, go out there and confront that, stage fright, and I also
There
want to
you
like
go.
perform for people, and I want to, I don't want to be the guy who's like, oh yeah, he has great songs, but he never goes out on tour.
Yeah,
Like
like
I can
Frank
never see
Ocean or
him. I can
something
never
like
see his
that.
concert. Exactly. Like I've never seen him live. It's like, if you're gonna make music and there's people who like that music, I don't see why you
Right.
can't go out there and perform it for them.
Yeah, you're right.
It's
You got to
literally
create
what
this allure around
it's
you.
literally what artists have done since like the beginning of time. They go out and they display their art for people who enjoy it. So why not?
Exactly. Okay. I love that. So I guess, are you going to put your first foot forward and try to attempt to get something on the books, even if it's just, I mean, it's probably going to be something small, like even a bar or a brewery or anything
Definitely.
like that.
Right now I'm kind of looking to find management because, like I said, I do everything myself. All the
Yeah.
promotion has been me. All of that stuff is all me, and it's a bit tiring.
Yeah, man. Life gets busy for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I hope to find some type of manager, which if anyone who's listening is interested, um,
I'd sign you.
well,
I
thank
know
you.
nothing about management, but
Well, if
a couple
people who know
calls.
people who know, make a couple calls,
No
see
couple
what
people.
happens.
No couple
Yeah, make
people.
make a couple calls. No, no pressure. Just
Of
make
course.
a couple calls.
Of course not.
Uh, because I feel like once I have like some type of management, I can focus more on the creative aspect instead of like,
Yeah.
okay, I can't really work on writing today because I have to work on like the press release and I have to work on the social media
Mm,
stuff and all that, and that kind of it's great, and it kind of flexes the other creative part of my brain for a
yeah,
bit, but after a while it does get draining. So
absolutely.
and then I could, through a manager, it would be easier to like book performances, and if I wanted to record in a studio, I could book in a studio, I could book like time in a studio and things like
Right.
that.
That's
So
true. So going off of the actual live performance, hypothetically, if you had to pick a single song that will eventually be released by then, did you have one in mind if you had to play a one song set?
Joni.
Okay.
Whoops, I just released a song from the album.
Oh, jeez.
Oh no. Oh, whoops.
Okay. Is there a reason for that? Is it just a crowd hyper or
It's one of those, it was the first song I wrote for the album.
oh,
So it's my
okay.
baby. Not
Nice.
only that, but I feel like it's got a good groove to it. It's
Mhm.
got, it's like Fleetwood Mac on steroids.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it
I'm
there.
in. No, that's
And
cool.
and
That's
that's all I've
cool.
got to say about that.
All right. So we went 6 months into the future, but now I'd like you to sort of imagine 5 years into the future. What lofty hopes, goals, and dreams can you sort of put together? Yeah, 5 years from now,
I
what's your
want
life looking like?
I just want a Grammy at some point.
Okay.
That's on my dream board, or I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Um, it would be nice to get a Grammy. I don't know. I just kind of I hope people like my stuff, and I hope I can do it long enough to support myself, and
Totally.
that's really the end goal, Austin. That's what every artist wants.
It's true.
Um, you know, doing bigger venues would be cool. Like as my career progresses,
Mhm.
the typical artist thing.
No, that's cool, man. It's just about staying consistent and like I said, like your music's great. It's just about getting the ears on it, and it's about
Exactly.
just like the everything's so complicated.
Trust me.
I think there's too
I
many
know.
people making music that shouldn't be making music, but
Well,
those
there you
that
go.
do, it's hard to even promote yourself, just like due to everything. I don't know. The world is weird.
The world, the world is weird. You got that
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Figured that one out. um, all right. I have a few more questions for you.
Go ahead.
What I would like to know is another time related one. Is so we are almost halfway through this year, which is
Mhm.
wild. But I'd like to know if there are any non-musical goals that you've set for yourself. Setting the music aside, how do you plan on working on yourself as a person for the rest of this year?
I do know that I'm trying to like get back into therapy just because, it's been a
Mhm.
crazy year and
Yeah, man.
obviously, things are just confusing and I feel like I've gone to therapy before and I believe that it helps. So I think just going back to try to, it always is great to just talk to someone, whether it's a
Yeah.
therapist or just someone you feel comfortable talking to about, you know, like, hey, isn't this crazy? Like, what can we do about it? I'm also a big fan of meditation.
Mhm.
Um, I've got the Headspace app and
Nice.
just Andy's soothing voice puts me at ease. Um, Other than that, I mean, obviously, you know, save up enough money to feed myself and keep a roof over my head.
Yes, that's priority number one.
Priority number one.
Absolutely.
I'm a simple guy. I don't have anything too complex, you know, in the works.
That's okay. You don't need to. You know what? It's about staying positive, keeping yourself afloat, and
Definitely.
working on your passions. So I say stick
And
with
that's
that.
and that's pretty much what I've been up to for the
Good.
last year, Austin.
Yeah, for real. I feel you on that one. A lot of alone time.
A lot of alone. Which is funny because early last year, like February, March is when I wrote like I wrote a lot of songs.
Mhm.
It maybe like 15 or 20.
Oh, nice.
Um, and then I kind of had them like demoed because I was able to stay home from work for a bit when, the pandemic first broke out.
Sure.
Um, and that's when I was like, all right, well, I've got all this time on my hands. What do I do? And then, write music. Um, so a lot of the stuff that you're going to hear on the album, I wrote like early last year.
Okay. Damn. So a whole different perspective on
Yeah.
life. Jeez. Okay.
And I
Oh
have some
man.
songs in the archives that are, a bit more of the times that I hope to release in the future, depending on how the reception is for my first album.
Got it. Yeah, you
Yeah,
got to
man.
keep a backlog.
Of course,
You can't just have a dry well music.
definitely,
Yeah,
always.
man.
I'm always trying to, write something or voice memo, or I have like
Totally.
on my notes app, like if I think of like something that's like, oh, that'd be cool lyrics, I jot it down, and it's about just a big thing of like a bunch of different like phrases and lyric ideas.
That's all. Hey, man, keeping notes of anything is like, it's always going to be productive.
Definitely, I
So,
agree.
all right. So, because this is a music podcast, a music interview,
Of course.
I want to know there have been so many incredible releases from artists across the globe over this past year or so. What have you been listening to in your free time, and what can you recommend?
I mean, I still listen to a lot of old stuff. Like
Sure,
I
sure.
listen to like the Beatles a lot, like
Yeah.
a lot more than like people my age. Um, Obviously Harry Styles, I listen to. He's incredible. Um, Ariana Grande, I'm a fan of her stuff.
Okay. Okay.
And then harkening back to the Beatles, McCartney 3, his last album, is pretty good.
I have
Which I
not
have
dug into that.
so basically he recorded, wrote, and produced everything himself,
Okay.
which is the same thing that he did for his first album, McCartney 1, and he did that for McCartney 2. So it's kind of like a theme. Um, and it's funny because when he was doing promo for McCartney 3, he did like a Reddit AMA. He's
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah.
I'm promoting the album, ask me anything. So I was like, I'll take a shot in the dark. I'm also writing, recording, and producing my first album, just like he did.
Did he respond to you?
He responded to me, and I
I would
literally,
frame that comment.
I'm going to. I have it
You
saved on my phone. I could
That's
probably
amazing. Oh, the
pull it
power
up.
of Reddit.
I literally like thousands of replies because Paul
Yeah.
McCartney, obviously, and I never thought that he would respond. Um, and
Got to respond to someone. Might as well be you. And I'm sure you asked a thoughtful question, like
yeah,
something
I
that
was
he
like,
could actually
hey,
relate
you
to.
know, I'm working on, you know, recording and producing my first album,
Yeah.
just like you are. Like, do you have any advice? And cheekily, he said, get a job. But he said, you got to stick to it. And so every
Classic
time
Paul.
he's that Liverpool humor,
Yeah.
every time I find myself in like a hitch, I'm like, is this really worth doing? You know, like, is
Mhm.
this really what I want to do? I think of Paul saying, you know, stick to it. And I don't know if I can get it on camera. It's right there.
Okay. You
Pardon the glare.
No, it's fine. You really need to print that out and frame it.
I
Just like a
do.
little, like, I'm not joking. That's so cool. Like, I love Reddit. I spend way too much time on Reddit and I
Me
read
too.
AMAs
And it's
from
funny
people.
because
Yeah.
I never used Reddit before. I had just downloaded it literally the day before because Alan is always talking about like stuff on Reddit. I was like, oh,
Oh,
I'll check it
yeah.
out. And he did that literally like a few days after, and I, you know, submitted a question not thinking he would answer, and he answered, and I absolutely lost my mind
I'm addicted to this website now.
because like Paul has been like
Yeah.
Paul especially has been like one of my main influences, like because we're both left-handed, so that's you don't see
Yeah.
a left-handed, you know, musician every day. So when I was younger, I was like, oh wow, he's, you know, just like me, he's left-handed.
Hmm.
And obviously like his songs just I can
Totally.
gush about him like all day, every day, but I'll save that
It's all
for
right.
another time.
Also left-handed, so we can join the club.
Nice. Lefties unite.
Yeah. All right, Angel. My last question for you here is something that I like to ask all the artists that I get to talk to. But basically, I'd like to know, for the person that discovers you from this and for the person that is about to hop into your music for the first time, what is a message that you would like to pass off to them?
Um, what is it? You know what? I think I just want people to remember that, you know, even in these trying times that, you know, love is still all around and that we really do need to love one another because there's not a
Mhm.
lot of that in today's world, you know. We're divided now more than ever. And I think that's just the one thing to take away and to remember that just to love one another.
Right. I love that, man. That's beautiful. If I already hadn't been listening or going to listen, you would have sold me right there. Nailed it. Angel, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your in-depth answers and for the music that you're putting out. For everyone else out there, there are 3 singles out and they're all equally incredible. So please listen to them. But also, Self Portrait is slated to come out in June. I don't know if there's a specific date yet. Can you weigh in on that? How
Um,
about check every single day until
there you go.
just check his Spotify page, just check his Apple Music
We're
page.
we're shooting for June 11th. We're shooting for June
Sweet.
11th.
Self Portrait, June 11th. You heard it here first. Angel, thank you so much again. Seriously,
Thank you for having
I
me.
sincerely hope you have a great rest of your night. And I will be listening as soon as more comes out.
Thank
So
you.
thank you
I
so much
appreciate it.
again. And this was great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man.
For my first interview ever, I feel like I did all right.
You crushed it.
Well, there you go.
You did. All right, man. Take care. I'll talk
You
to you
too.
later.
Have a good
Bye
one.
bye. You too.